In this video, we are doing a deep dive into a financial planning and analysis model that I built in Power BI. This model consolidates data from the P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, and operational metrics to give a 360-degree view of company's performance. We will start with the executive summary and then drill down into each component. Let's get started. Begin our main dashboard. This is the single source of truth for executives. Right at the top, we see our total revenue $111.7 million. The key here is the trend visualization below it, tracking revenue, gross profit, net income, and both gross and net margins over time. Moving to the middle, we have a revenue trend chart. We can see significant growth from 2022 through our forecast for 2025. Scrolling down, we have a net income waterfall chart, breaks down how we get from revenue to net income. And importantly, we see our net margin landing at 19.6%. On the right, we have a snapshot of the balance sheet composition. We can see we are holding a significant amount of cash and a cash equivalent at over $30 million, which is a strong liquidity position. We also track key efficiency metrics like receivables, payables, and inventory days. And you can tell there are some spikes, and then this helps you visualize the trend and help you to identify the issue. Finally, we have a performance section showing that we are exceeding our goals for both net income and asset. This dashboard is interactive. Clicking on any of these elements will filter the entire model. And that is the best part of the Power BI model, interactivity. The real power of this dashboard is your ability to slice the data anywhere you need. Let's say, I want to focus exclusively on our performance in Japan. I just click right here. The entire dashboard instantly updates. The net income waterfall recalculates, now showing a 16% net income for Japan. Every chart you see, the revenue trend, the balance sheet composition, the goal tracking, now telling the story of our Japanese operations. I can do the same for the UK or the USA. You can see in UK, we have not met our goal yet, but the net income is much higher than Japan and the US. This would be interesting for the managers to see and think about why. And one more click brings us back to the global view. But it's not just the geography. It's also about time. What happens when I click on Q4 of 2024? Suddenly, we are zoomed just into that 3-month period. And then this is the global view. And we pick up Japan. And then we pick up UK and the USA. And back to our global. And now you can tell this net income waterfall is higher in Q4 than the entire year review. And then the historical review. This allows us to investigate exceptional quarters in detail. All the metrics for AP days, AR days, and the asset now reflect that specific quarter's activity. A single click on this reset button brings everything back to our standard annual view. It's that simple and powerful. And one more thing, if you want to draw up to show everything annually, here's what you can do. Now everything shows annual. Or if you want to show the monthly, here you go. This is monthly. We check this slicer and we can stretch our time to be monthly or quarterly or annually. Now we are going to move to our profit and loss. Simply click this navigation. We will go to our profit and loss statement. This tab shows our actuals for 2022 to 2024. We see impressive growth with revenue jumping from $24.5 million to $53.6 million in just 3 years. More importantly, our gross profit has grown even faster, indicating improved efficiency with gross margin holding strong above 68%. The real power is in the key ratio table. While revenue is growing, we need to watch our net margin, which dipped in 2024 to 16.76% from nearly 24% the year before. This is a key insight for management to investigate. Are operating expenses growing too fast? We also have horizontal and vertical analysis sections. Horizontal shows the year-over-year growth rate, like sales growing 60% in 2023. Vertical analysis shows each line item as a percentage of revenue, helping us benchmark our cost structure. And all these show as annual. If you want to show particular year quarters, we can drill down like this. Now this shows every quarter of 2024. And we can do the same for the analysis. Now this shows a quarter, and all we can move to a different year, and these are the ratios for the different year. If you feel this table is too small, we can go to see a separate one. These are the ratios for this year, and we can even drill down to a particular month. Now these are the monthly. We can go back to our report. Now if we want to reset to the original review, we click this button. Again, if you want to focus on one particular country, you can just simply click the country. And then now this is the P&L and analysis for Japan. And these are for UK. And these are for USA. And we can go back to the original setting. Moving to the balance sheet, the health of any company is found here. We see total asset has more than tripled from $26.9 million to $85 million, which is fantastic growth. And you can tell this growth has been funded primarily by equity through issuing common stock and returning earnings rather than debt, as seen in the liability section. The key ratios here are critical. Our current ratio is excellent at over 8, meaning we have more than enough short-term asset to cover short-term obligations. However, note that receivable days have increased from 54 to 65 days. This suggestion is taking longer to collect payments from customers, which is a flag for the collections team. And these are the horizontal analysis and the vertical analysis for the balance sheet. Again, we can drill through to different quarters and we can pick out different countries. This is the same setup as the P&L to just put all these data together. In my setting, I only use the 3 years data. The file could be really powerful if the company has a long history with all the data in one file. It's just so informative and helpful to know the trend of the company operations with just a few of the visuals or tables. Now let's go into our cash flow statement. Profit is opinion, but cash is a fact. The cash flow statement tells us how the profit translates into real money. The story here is clear. Our operations are consistently cash positive, generating $5.5, almost $10 million, and $5.2 million in 2024. However, it looks like we are a growing company investing heavily in our future. Our investing activities are deeply negative because we are purchasing property, plant, and equipment. This cash outflow is being funded by a combination of our operating cash flow and financing activities, issuing new stock and taking on some long-term debt. This is a classic and healthy pattern for a growth stage company. Next, let's see what we can read from our equity statement. We can see the issuance of common stock each year, a total of over $55 million, and the accumulation of returned earnings from our net income, minus the dividends we have paid due to shareholders. The pie chart visualizes this composition, about 70% common stock and 30% returned earnings. And these are the composition over time. For every single file, we can drill up and down. And we can see different countries and we can see different time frame. So this is how the tables are dynamic and interactive. Now we're going to see a little bit of P&L analysis. And all the tables can be filtered by country, by time. The first one is the revenue composition by country. And this is a comparison of the revenue. And the current period is the light blue colored. And the prior period is here. The growth is just to help identify the percentage of growth. And you can tell in 2023, we have much higher growth compared to 2024. And then this is a comparison between marketing cost versus revenue. You can put any kind of cost here. This is just an example to compare. And then next, the 3 tables is moving average. This is a moving average for 3 months. This table shows as quarterly, so it's really hard to see. If we go back to here, we come to the month. So these are 3 months total. And this is a February, March, and April total. And then the 1 month is divided by 1. This is to see the average, the moving average for the sales. And come back, you can make this to be annual. This is to compare to prior comparable period. So for example, right now this table is quarterly, and now we are comparing the current period revenue versus prior period. Now the prior period is prior quarter. When we show the number as annual, now we're comparing the prior year. So the annual growth for revenue is 16.92%. And then if you come to the quarterly, the first quarter of 2023, the growth is 61%. Entire 2023, the growth is over 60% for every quarter. However, in 2024, this is significantly lower. This is something raised a question to the senior manager, and they may be interested in finding the why. And this also reflects from the chart. And then now we have the net income growth. Now we are comparing the quarterly income growth of current quarter versus last quarter income growth. And this number looks pretty big and not consistent. Now we're going to see here as annual 2023, the income growth is way higher than last year. However, in 2024, they did not even grow. This is a result, and the trend can easily be identified by the managers and the attention. And now we're going back to the original set. The same, we have the analysis for balance sheet as well. These are balance sheet asset component by country. If we pick up Japan, this is a trend of the asset growth for the Japanese division, and this is UK. If I unclick, now this is a global view. This is the balance sheet growth, and the same as P&L, we have current period and prior period, and we have the growth show as a dot here to identify the abnormal growth. And also we can come to a month if we want to see more details. Now this is the monthly, and we can go back to see the annual. Now we can go to original setup. This is sequential comparison, current period versus last period. Now we can make it annual. We can drill down to be monthly, or we can drill up to be annually. So these are average, and this is daily average, and this is the growth. It depends on what kind of average people use. There are many ways to get all these analysis and numbers here. And then this is a comparable period as well. So this is the quarterly, current quarter compared to the same time last year. And we can come to monthly as well, going back. So now the January in 2023 compared to January 2022. Or we can go back to compare as annual. We can just pick up the particular time we want, and we can even going down the month here. And now we can go to our budget. In the P&L, we have our budget, actual, and we have the different here. And this is for every single year here on this P&L, and it show on the P&L. And we can pick up our country, and this is Japan for the variance. If it's too much for these multiple years, we can just pick up 2024. Now this is our year. So for 2024, for each quarter, we have our budget and the actual numbers, and this is the difference. And also you can see the difference percentage. The Q3 has highest percentage here. And there's a lot of story to tell based on the numbers. These visuals just help to identify quickly. And this is the UK. Now we can see our global view. Balance sheet budget is the same concept. I add a little bit of additional setting is for the difference here. So I add some color to highlight the difference. So for positive number, I would make it blue. If it's a negative number, the color will fade. And you can tell this negative 50.12% would be the lightest, the blue. And we can set up the color the other way around. It's all really personal preference. And now this is the budget for 3 years, and I can go back to be 1 year and different years. And this is just to simply show what's the budget and versus actual. This is the different countries, and easily to see the pattern and help the management to understand how the operation going. Now we go back to the original setting, and now we go to FX. For a global company, currency is a key risk. This tab provides a detailed breakdown of revenue and profit by country in their local currency. This 23 million net income ties to our financial statement. Here is the 4.6 plus 9.454 and 8.987. I don't have total here, but in my working file, and we are going to open our column total. Now this is 117,743,448 and 231272. So this is our P&L and ties to our FX. These rates are not actual. I got some historical rates and adjust a little bit. This is not used for accuracy. This is used to explain the concept. You can tell USD $1 is about 74 cents of British pound and it's over $100 for yen. Then when we show local amount in Japanese yen, you can see this number is way bigger and the UK number becomes smaller because the British pound is more valuable than the US dollars. These are total revenue in local currency and in US amount. And then for local currency, it will show a different amount here. This is just showing here as a possibility and example. And actually, if we need, we can set the entire financial reporting with multiple currencies in each tab. If needed, we just need to set up the slicer. And then next one is the entries. This is really helpful for accountant because this has the original data set, the debit and the credit. My entire Power BI model is based on thousands of rows of debit and credit entries. What an accountant can do is go to search. We can go through the category to find what we need. And then, for example, cash and cash equivalent. And now these are all the entries for cash and cash equivalent. And this is a monthly comparison. We see prior month and the current month. You can tell the cash at the bank is way bigger than the prior month. Now, with all these entries, for example, if we're closing the last month of 2024, now these are all the entries we booked for 2024. So these are the entry reference in case we need to find more details. And drill up, we can see this is high level. Now let's go back to the quarter. So these are all the debit and credit we booked for this entire month. Or if we want to check something else, for example, account payables. So these are all the ones we booked. So this picture just give us a visualized idea of what's the difference between the 2 months. And now we can keep drill down. So these are what we booked for this particular month. And then we can go back to prior month. This could be really helpful when you have millions of rows of entries. And now we can find the country, the entries booked particularly for the countries. And now we can go back. One more usage for this one is when we check our statement. So for example, I want to know what's the entries for the sales. So I can go to drill through and I will come to all the entries. So these are all the entries we booked for our cash. I was looking for the sales, $24 million. I see this $24 million balance here. So these are the entries we booked. Now it shows 2022. And these are for the quarters. And we can drill down to different months. I don't go to month often, so I set a quarter here. If we show month very often, when we set up the Power BI file, we can make this bigger. This is what I mean. In my working file, I can make this a little bit larger. Then when I go to look for my month, I can find it here. So this is what I mean. It's depending on what kind of setting we feel comfortable to use. And so this is for FX. Then you can go back to your original place. And now, for example, I want to drill through, see what this $39 million entries. So these are the entries we booked. And this is just to visualize the difference. And these are the details of the entries. And this is our TB. These are 2 visuals based on the TB numbers. So this $23 million return to earning, it reflects by the numbers here. And it's also come to our profit loss, the total of these 3. And this $23 million before the dividend paid. Normally, we don't really separate the dividend paid, but I use this setting for the equity statement. That's why I separate them just for the presentation. If I want to see cash, now the cash is total $25 million. And here we have this pink and purple. Both the cash reflects the pie here. And this is by time, and this is just the most recent quarter balance. And so this is just the TB. Again, we can do the same thing. We pick up the country, different kind of composition, the trend here, and we can pick up a different time period. And it's just a lot of information, and we can play around. That's all I want to show in this video. The Power BI models connects all these dots from high-level KPIs on the dashboard down to detailed transaction data. It allows us to not just report on the past, but to analyze trends, measure performance against the plan, and ask the right questions to drive future growth. But I do want to leave you with a bigger idea. This isn't just a prettier version of Excel. This is a step into the Microsoft Power Platform. What you have just seen is the reporting layer. Think about the process. Data is pulled automatically from various sources like ERP, CRMs, spreadsheets into one single powerful Power BI file, just like this file. I got all these debit credit entries into one single Power BI file. With this one file, you can show massive data set both horizontally across business units and vertically drilling down from a total revenue figure to the individual invoices that's created. This model is a base for financial report, but we can also build scenarios. What if our fiscal year is different? What if we change our growth assumptions? This is just the beginning. Imagine using Power Apps to create a simple app to submit budget, forecast, or expenses report directly into the system. Imagine using Power Automate to automate the entire month-end closing process. Pull data, validating entries, running consolidations, and pushing these reports, all without manual intervention. That's the future of FP&A. Seamless, automated, and deeply insightful. This model is the foundation for that journey. If you are ready to step further away from Excel and into a world of automation and visualization, I highly recommend exploring the free resources for the Power. Compared to the traditional ERP system, you don't rely on any IT person to build a report for you. You can customize any report you want, particular for your needs, and you can automate all the data faster and easier, and you can build any visuals to help you identify issue and look in the trend. And even more, if the model is well built, you can use the Power BI AI functions to achieve more automation and visualization benefit. So stay tuned because I will be sharing more demos on exactly how to build this, how to use Power Apps and Power Automates to make book entries and closing the books seamlessly and quickly,